very happy to hear people speaking with extreme skepticism about number in general. Um, I no longer grant numbers the authority to say anything about science, especially about physics. And I have a lot of friends that are really into philosophy, really into math. And I've basically come to the conclusion that this is the same dispute over and over, going back to the original Greek skeptics, the Pyrrhonists, they were called, where their philosophy was essentially to bully people who attempted to even introduce concepts like infinity or zero or go beyond anything that could be experienced. They were open to the truth being possible, but if you tried to tell them something that they couldn't verify or wasn't self evident or couldn't at least be experienced, well, they would simply either advance just a strong argument on the other side in order to render you looking silly or just bully you with, like, that's what Aristophanes was about. Bullying Socrates. He's like, you're trying to measure how far a jumping flea can jump and stuff like that. And I'll wrap it up with one question for Witsit. Have you heard of, I've been trying to do a space with Xavier on Henry Bergson in his debate with Einstein in 1922. I find that very few people have heard about this. They hide Bergson because some people say he was the top philosopher of the past 100 years, but nobody puts him outside of the top three. And he crushed Einie in a very impromptu debate. It was on time. He wrote a book called Duration and Simultaneity and Creative Evolution. He basically crushed Einie, and that's why Einie had to get the Nobel for the photoelectric effect, because they were going to give it to him for his number line nonsense, but then he got crushed by Bergson. And I'm curious, have you heard about Henry Bergson, or have you heard about that whole dispute? What happened? Because it's a very interesting story that they try to hide.
I have not. I am very intrigued though. I'm very excited that you've brought something I have never heard of that. And it doesn't surprise me that I haven't heard of it. But can you spell it?
Yeah, Henribergson. He wrote Duration and Simultaneity, Creative Evolution, and Matter and Memory. Those are the three books. Um, he has some very actually, he wrote a very interesting book on laughter and he believes that knowledge is based in common sense and intuition, essentially, which is sort of what I think. I don't think there is any criteria for the knowledge of. I don't know if you're going to tell me you're going to statistically describe something. Okay, cool. But knowledge is immutable and agreed upon criteria by everybody. You're not like, that's not true for everybody. You need to give me a criteria. And this is essentially what the Greeks would do. They would try to keep everybody within the realm of order to stop people from saying, like, the star is 10 trillion bazillion badillion miles away. Like, before Copernicus, the Greeks wouldn't even deign to say that they could measure the luminaries. Like, they didn't even have cause and effect in a lot of cases. They were just like, oh, I guess things are just like that. And I'm going to assent piously to my tradition, my parents, and things that appear to be self evident. The appearances were good enough for them, and the appearances are good enough for me. We don't, maybe the true nature of things isn't knowable, and these number boys should just shut the hell up. That's how I feel.
Wow, very elegantly said. If you want to DM me that, I would be greatly appreciative so I don't forget it. But yeah, very well said, man. I can't add to that. That was a nice summary.
Well, and Winston, speaking of summary, do you want to kind of close out with a couple final remarks here before we shut down? I know we've been going for gosh 5+ hours at this point.